I was 15 years old, and it was my high school sophomore semi-formal, the first dance of my high school career, and I was excited. My mom and I went out to Marshall's, and I bought a white dress with embroidered flowers, $15 on sale and with coupons. But I was also nervous because I was the uncool kid in high school. My freshman year, the president of the class used to come up to me at my locker because I wore Coke bottle bottom glasses, and he used to tap them in front of everybody, and they used to make fun of me. So this was just another chance for me to be uncool. But I was going with my friend Mike and my best friend Christy and her boyfriend Jimmy, like they were the it couple of high school. So I thought it would be okay. Until I started hearing kids talk about how they were getting there. And most of them were taking limos. And only 2 out of the 4 of us were actually working at that point. So we weren't going to be able to afford a limo. So I came up with a plan to whine to my parents about it, hoping that they would cough up some money for a limo. And so we're at the dinner table one night, and I'm putting my plan into motion, and my dad looks up and says to me, "Don't worry about this, we got it." I'm like, "What does that mean?" "So what do you mean, Dad?" And he says, "Well, we're going to take the van." Now, the van was my father's work van, which was bright blue with a blue stripe down the side. My father's work was tile, floor, and carpeting. So usually in the back of the van, there was huge carpet rolls, tools thrown all over the place. And in the front, there was only one seat. And then there was an upside-down cement bucket that you sat on, hoping you wouldn't go through the windshield. This was not my idea of ideal transportation. So of course I didn't trust the adults, so I called Chrissy and I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Listen, if your dad says we've got it, we've got it, it's fine." And so hesitantly, I thought it was okay. So the day of the semi-formal comes, I'm in my white dress, Christy's in some really sparkly blue expensive number, the guys are all dressed up, and I look up and I see my dad coming down the stairs. But instead of having his beat-up work jeans on and a white t-shirt, he's got on a pair of dress pants he bought just for the occasion. He's got on his jacket that he only wore to weddings, a Scully cap and gloves. He was our limo driver for the night. And so we go out to the van, and the first thing that I noticed is that it's been washed. And in the several years that my dad had the van, it had been washed twice, so this was a big deal. So he opens up the door, and I look in, and all the carpet and everything is gone. It's been cleaned, and he's put in 2 white bench seats that he scrubbed down so they would shine, a cooler full of soft drinks, and between us and him, he's cut a piece of blue tile that actually gives us a little bit of privacy, but he could still see us. And so we get in, and we go speeding down Route 1 to Saugus, Caruso's Diplomat. Def Leppard's on the radio. We're talking, soft drinks are going. We're good. Until we get close to the parking lot, and I start to notice black limo, white limo, van. And I was nervous because the kids were going to see me get out of this van. But my dad negotiated up to the door and got us out and said, "Go have a good time." And so when I went into Caruso's Diplomat, they had a huge chandelier on the ceiling when you first walked in, took up the whole ceiling, and it was shooting off sparkles and light, and it hit me. And I felt like it was magical, and I thought, well, gee, if this night's supposed to be magical, I should enjoy this night. And so we did. We took formal pictures, we had dinner, we danced, and we had a great time. But then I realized the end of the night's about to come. And even though some of those kids didn't see me get out of the van, they were going to see me get in. And here was another chance for me to be uncool. So we walk outside, and I can hear my father's voice, and I look up and I see that the van is parked in the limo section, and he's talking with the other limo drivers, and he's laughing. Because my dad was a fake-it-till-you-make-it kind of guy. He was the limo driver for the night. He was going to park the van where the limos were and talk to the limo drivers. It's just what he did. And so I'm walking towards the van, and I see the door is open, and now I'm really nervous because a bunch of kids are crowded around it. And I flash back to a few months before when I had walked into school and a bunch of kids were crowded around my locker, and when they stepped aside, I saw that they had written nasty things all over my locker. So now I'm bracing for impact again. And one of the kids turns to me and he says, "Is this your ride?" And he's running his hand on the floor, which is now blue shag carpet instead of the old commercial gray carpet that was on the floor. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Wow, this is really cool, Mary." And I was like, "Wait, this is cool? I'm cool? This is great, I'm cool." Yeah, it's cool, yeah. So my dad gets us back in, and we go speeding back down Route 1 to drop everybody off. Jimmy and Kristen are canoodling in front of me. Mike and I are talking, and My dad drops off Kristen first, and then he drops off Mike. And so Jimmy decides to move to sit next to me. And as we're going to Jimmy's house, I notice he's starting to creep closer to me. I don't think anything of it at first. But then he's getting into my personal space, and I realize he's about to kiss me. And I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't happen to me. I just brought a friend to the dance, and I'm not that girl, and and this is my best friend's boyfriend. And then I realize that Jimmy's on the floor, and I'm in brake position, thinking I'm gonna fall off, and I realize my dad's hit the brakes. And I look up and our eyes meet in the rearview mirror, and I realize Dad didn't like Jimmy. Dad thought Jimmy was pretty shady, and Dad knew Jimmy was gonna pull something that night, and he wasn't gonna let that happen. So we get to Jimmy's house, and Dad gets Jimmy out, and he says, "Good night, sir," and my father grunts at him. And he gets me into the front passenger seat, and we're driving home. And I realized that my dad made me pretty cool for that night. And as the years went by, he always had my back. He would just do things to make sure that I was okay, whether I was cool or whatnot. And I was really lucky. So even though a lot of those kids had a limo ride, I truly had the magic carpet. Thank you.